an old family recipe for a fabulous Easter bread, today on Weekend at the Cottage. Today I'm so thankful to be sharing this wonderful family recipe. It's come down from generation to generation. I learned how to make it standing on a stool at the counter next to my mom. I've seen my aunts make it, my sisters all make it, and we do this particular bread for both Christmas, we make it for Easter, we do it for Patron Saint's Day. It's a wonderful celebratory bread. It's a yeast dough, so it's very high. It's made with eggs and a little bit of sugar. Wait till you see this recipe. If you've never made bread by hand, follow along closely, and then I'm hoping by the end of this will inspire you to make your own. I know if you follow, you'll have great success. Let's start at the very beginning, which is a bowl into which I'm pouring 1 cup of lukewarm water and then 2 teaspoons of sugar. Melt it and stir it with your finger, melt it together. And now we're adding 2 packages of dry active yeast. We're adding the yeast in, stir it with your finger, and now cover with a plate and set it to the side for about 10 minutes. I'll take the plate off and show you the magic of yeast in a moment. Now we're on to stove top. We have a medium saucepan. I'm adding 1 cup of milk, 1 teaspoon of salt, 3/4 of a cup of granulated sugar. Stir everything until the sugar and salt are melting. Stovetop goes to medium-high, and now we're going to scald the milk. So I need to get the temperature up very high. Right before it boils, I add 8 tablespoons of butter. Stir it together. The butter melts. Set that to the side. Now I'm pulling out my big white bowl. This bowl belonged to my Aunt Alexandra. She used to make this Cottage, this Easter bread in this bowl. It's a family treasure. And now I'm adding in our kind of lukewarm milk. Let me take the plate off the yeast. Check this out. Look at the yeast has almost doubled in size. Add your yeast mixture into the milk mixture, stir them together. The recipe calls for 6 cups of all-purpose flour. I divide it into 3 and 3. So the first 3 cups I'm going to add into the liquid mixture. I take a spoon and I stir everything together, and stir quite vigorously. You want to make sure you get rid of most of those lumps of flour at this stage of the recipe. And now we need the zest of 1 navel orange. The bigger, the better. I like to zest the entire thing all the way around. Now add that gorgeous, fragrant orange zest into your bread mixture and stir everything together. We're adding eggs. I have 3 extra large eggs at room temperature. I'm going to take 2 eggs, crack them into a bowl, and then the 3rd egg I'm separating. Egg whites go to 1 bowl, and the egg yolk is going in with those 2 whole eggs. The extra egg yolk will give this bread a beautiful color. Whisk your eggs together, add them to the mixture. Now we're done with the spoon. Wash my hands, take off any rings at this stage, and I'm going to be using my left hand to add flour and my right hand to work my dough. So this is all done by hand. And let me just show you the motion. It is going to be fingers wide in the dough, and we're going to pull up like this. And this motion is going to be how we pull this dough together. Let me show you exactly what I mean. I'm going to sprinkle a bit of the remaining 3 cups of flour, hand goes in the bowl, and I start pulling. And you'll be doing this for a little bit of time, but it's a good workout. Trust me, this is like your workout for the day. And now work that dough, a little bit more flour, little by little. Keep working, doing that pulling motion. We're pulling the dough away from the sides of the bowl. The flour is incorporating into the dough, and just keep doing this. Adding more flour and that hand motion. Right when there's just a little bit left in the bowl, pour that flour into my hand that I've been pulling with, and now rub your hands over, get all of that dough off, and now both hands are going in, and I'm going to work that dough until it's a nice tight ball. It'll come away from the side of the bowl. Turn it out onto a floured surface. So now knead it with your hands. My Aunt Alexandra used to palm it. She said you should pull your palms back and forth to knead your dough. Head to the sink, wash your bowl. Come back to the counter with your clean bowl, and now place that dough ball into your bowl. A little bit of oil or butter on your hands. We're going to rub the top of the dough. We're going to rub the sides of the bowl, and now we cover with a clean dishcloth, and we place it into a warm spot for an hour and a half. This will give your dough a chance to double in size. Now we're going to form our bread, and we're also going to do something else that's quite interesting. But first of all, let's dump the dough. Look at the size of it. We're going to dump our dough onto a floured surface, divide it into 2 equal portions, place 1/2 of the dough to the side, and the first half we divide into 4 equal sized pieces. Work them in your hands till they're about even sized discs. I have a straight sided, medium sized soup pot. I've buttered the inside, floured the inside, and now I'm going to drop the first disc right into the center of that pot, and then the second, third, and then finally that 4th disc to create this kind of like almost like a 3-leaf clover shape. We then can add in some hard-boiled colored eggs, and I like to color my eggs using old school style with onion skins. There's a story up at Weekend at the Cottage if you'd like to color eggs in this fashion. Place your eggs in, cover, and we're going to let this bread rise for about an hour into its shape. Now we have a parchment lined baking sheet. Take back that second half of dough. We're going to divide it into 6 even pieces. Take the first piece, roll it between your hands, and it kind of becomes like a long kind of pipe or snake shape. Take it into your hand, and we're going to form, tuck one tail underneath, the other goes over. We create this beautiful little tiny bun. Place the bun onto your baking sheet, and then place a hard-boiled Easter egg. Those little buns are gorgeous. Now we need to do an additional type or additional style. Same thing, roll out your dough till it's a long pipe or snake shape. Grab it in the middle this time. Hold the ends, twist them together, and you now have this beautiful kind of dough shape, but this one has a tail. Stick your egg in it, and that's interesting. The bun shaped, those are going to be for all the girls. The tail shaped, those are for the boys. I wonder how they figured that out. Anyway, last thing, do you remember our egg white that we had? Take your egg white, 1 tablespoon of water, whisk them together. Now with a pastry brush, I'm going to brush around the egg all over the dough. Same thing with our bread, top and bottom brushed. And this is going to create a lovely glossy kind of top to these beautiful baked goods. Cover our little tribute breads. They also need to sit until they rise. Our oven is preheated to 325 degrees. The bread goes in, and we're going to bake it for 40 minutes. Take a cake tester, stick it into your bread at that point just to make sure it's finished. The baking sheet with the individual little bread tributes goes in, and they're going to bake for 30 minutes. And you know the smaller buns are done because they'll have a nice top, will be nice and golden brown. It'll look perfect. Once the bread is cooled, you're ready to head to table. And it was great growing up as a kid on Easter morning. The adults, Mom would slice into that big bread and give the adults a piece. But the kids would get their own little individual bun. My sisters would get the ones like this without the tail. Mine had a tail on it. And we would sit, crack our eggs, lots of butter on this beautiful bread, and everything was right in the world. If you're celebrating Easter, I want to wish you a joyous holiday. But let's say you're not. Let's say you're gathering with your friends and family. You've made this beautiful bread. You're now around the table. Anytime we sit and break bread with those near and dear is a reason to celebrate. Looking for other great ideas, head to weekendatthecottage.com. Also look for us on our dedicated YouTube channel. Also, keep the conversation going. Talk to Carol Bagazi, our head of social media. She's manning the stations on Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Thanks so much for hanging out and letting me share this wonderful family recipe with you. I hope you enjoy, but come on back and let's visit again soon. Take care.